That's not gonna work. Hey, it's Ed with Slow Car Fix, and today I'm working on my 66 Volkswagen Beetle. I just had a bunch of work done to it, and I have a few more little odds and ends that I need to take care of. One of them is that the chokes. There's a unique situation with the chokes. So let me show you the car and show you what I got to work on. So this is a 1966 Volkswagen Beetle. I picked it up a few years ago. I've had it on the channel a few times. It has a 1600cc single port engine upgraded with twin carbs. When I got the car, it had a bad transmission. It wouldn't downshift into second gear. The synchros were bad, and it would pop out of gear as well. Long story short on this car is that I bought it with a bad transmission. I had a little bit of drama back and forth trying to get a transmission properly rebuilt. Finally, I found a guy that rebuilt it properly, and I also had the gear ratio changed. And when I changed the gear ratio in the transmission, we elected to have the carburetors upgraded from the single carb to dual carbs just to get a little more low-end torque, as my gear ratio is now more set up towards highway. Therein lies my choke issue, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Right now, let me tell you about the work that I just had done. All right, so the work that I just had done, it's never really shifted right, even with the new transmission. The shifter's been wonky. I think what it was for a long time it would pop out of second gear. I think it was second gear. And the previous owner, and probably the owner before that, would have to hold it in gear and prevent it from popping out, so it wore out the shifter. That's my guess. But anyways, the shifter was worn out, the bushings were worn out, all the linkage, everything on it was kind of worn and sloppy. So I had a brand new transmission and it shifted crappy. So I wanted that fixed. It's three main issues: shifting, chokes, and sort of handling, I guess, steering. The one issue with the chokes, when we switched to dual carbs, these are Solex carbs. They have an electric choke on them. For whatever reason, they were never hooked up when I got it. When I got the engine back from the gentleman that put the carburetors on, they were not hooked up because he wanted to set it up in the car. And he said when he starts it up on the stand, it revved to the moon with the chokes on, so he just disconnected it. So I ran it for a little while, season or two, with the chokes disconnected. Tired of that. I want the chokes to work. They're there, they should work. Shifting. What they found with the shifter, when I sent the whole car to Tune Perfection, great guy. He's really knowledgeable and it's very fair to deal with. So when I sent it to him, of course, I ended up with a bunch of while you're in theirs, and that's my fault. But that's okay, the car's better for it. So what did he do for that? He replaced the shift rod bushing, the shift rod bushing clip, installed an MP chrome trigger shifter thingy-majig, new shifter, and it shifts fantastic. So basically all the bushings, everything in the shifter was kind of just a little wonky, a little wore out. So he's replaced all that. That's cool. The chokes, he's got them hooked up. However, it's still revving to the moon, but I'm going to fix that. And that's what we're going to do today. The handling, that's a longer conversation. The car's a lowered car. It was lowered in the front, not in the back. Originally, when I got the car, it had a lowering beam, and it wasn't a very good one with stock spindles. I later switched that and went to a stock beam with drop spindles. My friend at Classic Auto Repair changed all the front end stuff, did an alignment on it. It was a lot better, but still not great. It was darty. It's always been darty. And as it turns out, the issue was in the back, not in the front. Some of it was to do with the fact that the car was kind of raked and it wasn't lowered in the back. It was just lowered in the front. So that was throwing it off. I'm not that familiar with these cars. I understand them and everything else, but I don't want to be a specialist in them. I just want to enjoy it and be able to maintain it myself, which I can do. Needed a good baseline, needed somebody that specializes in them to look at this car and determine everything that's wrong. So that's all fixed. It's got adjustable lowering spring plates in the back. This is a torsion axle. What else did I do? What were the while I was in there? Let's have a look. First thing that you see there is a big giant alternator, because I did an alternator conversion. Well, I didn't, they did. So we changed the alternator, changed the rear shocks, steering coupler, caster shims, axle seal kit, a whole bunch of crap. So I got a couple things I got to do today, and let me show you what's going on with the chokes. This is the Solex single carburetor. This is the choke assembly. It's an electric choke. This here is adjustable, I believe, by rotating this, and also this rod here. This rod in lies the problem. From what I understand from reading on the interwebs is that you can control your fast idle speed by bending this rod and making it longer or shorter by this kink. And I know there's some, you can make some fine adjustments on Corvair carburetors, which I'm very familiar with, by tweaking the linkages on the side. This I think is much the same. The only thing I don't like is that it's very imperfect. If you bend this, how do you know that you're bending it the same side to side? So my theory is that on Corvairs, there's a different style of linkage that's adjustable. And I'm thinking I can adapt Corvair linkage to this, make this same piece, and make it adjustable with a nut. So I can, the problem with this right now, with the fast idle being too high, is that this rod is too long. So I could add some bend in here, which brings this down and shortens the rod, and which would give me a lower idle. Or I could make a new linkage that's roughly the same shape, that has an adjustable end on it, and then I can just turn the piece. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is a Corvair engine. This is a 110 horsepower horizontally opposed flat six. Now, I've already taken this off. These linkages are on here, on the, they go from there to there on the carburetor. See these tangs here on a Corvair carburetor, you can bend them, you know, there's a whole procedure, but you can bend them to get the action that you want to get. So this goes from here to here, and it adjusts your throttle, and then it enables you to be able to balance the two carburetors. So I've got two sets of them, and they've got this adjustable nut on them, which actually will fit into my Volkswagen carburetor things. And then this would be adjustable, and instead of having to bend the rod, I could just adjust this up or down to control my fast idle speed. That's my thought anyways. So what I want to do is take this rod, bend it to the shape of the one that's on the Volkswagen, and use this instead, and then I have this adjustment, this fine adjustment, by moving this nut up and down. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying, because I'm sure as hell not explaining it very well. But I think it's going to work. If the issue is that my current linkage is too long, if I make this linkage exactly the same shape, and this center point of this pin in the exact same spot as the Volkswagen linkage, then I should be able to thread this in and in effect shorten it. That's my thought. And then I can adjust it precisely side to side, rather than putting a random bend in the one side and then a random bend in the other side. I can just screw this in a couple of turns on the one side and match the amount of turns on the other side, and Bob's your uncle, maybe? Okay, so I'm over here on the bench, and this is the linkage that was on the carburetor. This is the cross piece. This goes to the center. This linkage here goes, I didn't have to take this right off. I didn't know that I could pull this out, but it's just as well, because I have to take this bushing out. So what I need to do is replicate this linkage. This end goes to the choke, and this end goes to the carburetor. The spring goes here, and this is the push-pull style linkage that goes to the throttle cable. So what I need to do, and like I said, I'm making use of what I have. I have Corvair parts. So what I need to do is take this rod. I know this fits in the choke. I need to reshape this Corvair rod to match the shape of this rod, and then cut it to length and everything else, right? And then I will have adjustment up and down with this. I can make the rod longer or shorter. That's my plan. what I'm going to do is try and save this bushing. I'll pop out this little plastic bushing that's here. And then this will fit in, no problem. Worst case, if I want to go back to the stock configuration, I'll have this plastic bushing. I'll have this rod. All will be well. But I don't think I'll have to, because this will go on here. This clip will go on and hold it. So I just need to make this rod here this shape. So I'm going to bend that up in the vise and using some brute force and ignorance, and then I will bend a piece out, and hopefully I don't have to weld anything. I guess I could just cut it and shorten it and weld it, but let's see if I can get away without doing that. There you go. That's kind of good. See, and then if it's, so the bend is right and everything's good, it's just, now I can adjust the overall length. And I knocked out that little bushing, and the plan would be, let me see how this goes. This goes like this. So the plan would be that I can put this little guy here, this clip, pop this through, and be able to just have it like that, which is the same idea as this was, only now I can adjust it and make it shorter and be able to balance both sides so they're equally choking. So I think I'm ready to install this guy and see if it works. So that's mission accomplished. That's great. Now I may still have to do some adjustments. So what I did was I adjusted that the rod, the adjustable part of the rod, just goes through the hole, and then I lengthened it by 2 turns on each side so it's even. So it just goes through the hole and lengthened it by 2 turns. And that holds the throttle blade just off the idle screw. So I'll try that. It's hard to tell because the car is semi-warmed up right now. But it did come all the way off the choke. That's what I wanted to see. So when it's cold start, and it's minus 15 Celsius today, but when it's a cold start and the engine's cold, I'll adjust it again, and I'll just make sure that they're both coming off evenly. But I think that's pretty good. At least I can adjust it now. I don't have to tweak linkages and all this crap. And it was screaming its head off before, so I'm quite happy with that. Overall, it's a win. I've got a bit more work to do. I got to clean out the gas tank on this thing. There's a little bit of rust in there. So I'm just going to, it's not a real bad because it took like 2 years before it plugged up a filter. So I'm going to pull the tank out, shake a chain in it, and try and get out any loose rust and then put it back in because it just happens to be empty right now. So I'm going to carry on with that, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Please let me know if you like this Volkswagen content. I've got some stuff I got to do to it. I got to make it look a little better. I've got a couple ideas, and I want to share it with you guys. So let me know if you're interested in the Volkswagen. Please click the like button. Leave me a comment so YouTube knows that you care about this this car. And I've heard from lots of you that have, but it doesn't seem to trigger the algorithm or whatever. So let me know. I'll catch you on the next one.